So my name, I'm co-founder and council member of PUBLIQ Foundation. We are also trying to change the world. But today I would like to talk about the content, information, and why we need to democratize it. I will be sharing with you information that most likely everyone knows, but I will come from a different angle to it. So let me state that 99% of all, let's say 200 million active websites and blogs, and we have about 1.7 billion of those, and only 200 million active, earn less than on average $60 per year. So, and we all witness the monopoly or centralization in content distribution. We call them, powerful platforms. That's from the standpoint of the, information economy, discourages hundreds of millions of people and existing and potential media entrepreneurs from investing in online media. So in online space, almost 95% of the content is consumed for free now. And the only way to monetize it is advertising, of course, as we all know. So let's look into last year's ad spend distribution, 254 billion. There are many figures, greater than this and less, but let's take, this figure. And 10 content distribution platforms got almost 100 billion of this. Certain part is lost to the fraud, about 10% or more, and the rest is distributed among all those 200 million entrepreneurs that are populating or bringing content to internet. And if we can look into how this distribution is done, then about 1% of top sites gets almost most of it, and the rest is left with almost nothing. So let's take the example of Google. Everyone knows Google. So it is not appropriate. It is not good. It's somewhat not fair that AdSense takes, let's say, 32% and returns about 68% back to AdSense users, which are about 10.8 million sites. And when we move into YouTube example, it even gets more vivid that about 50% cut remains with Google's hands or YouTube's hands. And the most important aspect of this is like only 1% of channels, and YouTube has 31 million channels. They get paid most of the money that they are, sharing with the channels. And it is interesting that YouTube has been a user-generated content-driven platform, and it was built on it. But most of the user-generated content is now demonetized on this platform because of the need to compete and to run after the market. And this is mostly becoming a space for Hollywood type, content that everyone now is looking for, serials and, larger, content that is created professionally and so on and so on. So you may ask, what is the problem there? Probably I would say that the problem is that it is not enough. The money that online space is creating to monetize the space is not enough. Not only for small companies, but also for big companies. So taking this big chunk doesn't mean that they are greedy. However, it means that they have to expand their infrastructure and adhere to the needs of us having this conversation, putting our content up and so on and so on, and they need to invest greatly to keep this infrastructure going. And the money is not enough. So what you do to really create the needs that can be addressed by this economy? The only way is to turn from the eaters into a space of bakers. So again, I'm talking from the economic side of it rather than fairness. The being more distributed, space, giving ownership to everyone, and so on and so on. However, without the trust in this environment, it is impossible to create the global energy to bring to everyone to the ground where you start investing into the space. So consider that only 2 people are allowed to bring, let's say, case in my country. So the rest of the people will stay away from investing into the space. Similar thing is happening in this space. So we see the solution in creating a trust environment where everyone can join to bring their energy resources to create something much bigger than what is given us by the corporate will. And there is a big need for, I think this is not the only issue for media. This is the issue for any issues we discussed. And work avoidance is a general term that keeps us away from attaining our goals in our families, in our societies, in our communities, anywhere. Similarly, the same thing is happening here. And thanks to the technology, now we have the ability to really give the power to people to mobilize and take the lead. So it is time to turn the ownership to those who create value and create the space. And so how to do that is, of course, I think many of us are, and we can turn to, let's say, blockchain and distributed technologies that can create this space where we all can trust and come together and start working, and knowing that there is fair distribution, merit to our efforts going into the space. So when we think from our, what our team is, it's be a peer-to-peer network, open, of course, where you have direct, exchange of digital assets, and of course, me as a person who is coming from the media space, so I have been publishing Forbes in 3 countries, and I have invested a lot into traditional media and lost a lot, of course, due to the transition to digital. You need to have mobility when crossing borders. And for example, YouTube distributes the money using 5 channels. And one of them is Western Union. And you can imagine that someone from Africa putting its content into YouTube will have a lot of difficulty to monetizing it. And the YouTube, chasing this person to give it. On the other hand, you have the world where we work around the counting circles, and the payments are on a monthly basis, and the centralized platforms will decide when to pay. Sometimes you don't get paid. So, and these are crucial money for those who live on this. So you need to have mobility in moving the assets from one part of the world to the other. And there comes the digital assets, or digital tokens, which are important. And in this space, the utility factor is important. So when you join a community to build something, you want to own it. and your stake becomes, you know, what you invest in. So reputation and your efforts give you ability to have the share of this economy. So in our setup, we have like 10 minutes distribution. Every 10 everyone gets a share of the economy or wealth that is generated. So we consider this is important to make sure that everyone transparently can see what they are investing and what they are gaining in return. So we all talk about IP rights. We all talk about fake news, and you know, of this major issue for the planet. And I think there is a huge part of what is happening with us due to this state of the media, due to the state that people who wants to earn, they have to run after this little money that is left to them to really make a living. And the only way that the World Wide Web has left to them is to run after clickbait type attention grabbing and littering or uncontrolled, unaccountable littering of the space, because there is no identity for people who put. And mainstream media has taken a big role in this because they have to follow the suit. As a forced publisher, I am so stupefied seeing the deterioration of the quality of reporting of once one of the etalons of quality media, that you now see interviews just being published without analytics, because there is a rush. You need to rush after these, you know, clickbaits, and Google ads have become the main monetization for most of the mainstream media, as well as small and big. So you need to have a space where you can really identify and be the owner of your own property, which is content. So our imagination is very content-centered space where the content is immutable, and it becomes a service. Once you identify the content and be able to trace it, then you can let it go, and each part of your content will be unique to really get attribution of the revenue it generates back to you. So if it is attention and you are looking into advertising, then attention generated by this advertising money will be directed to you, rather than, you know, profiting someone else who takes your content and uses it. And of course, technology gives us ability to really create a space where you can achieve total ownership and total revenue distribution. Our vision is you need to distribute 100% of the revenue generated instantly, and you need to invest into the space to be part of it. So this model can bring and harness the potential of millions who would be now, you know, free to go and invest and build their own destiny in an environment of total trust and environment of total transparency. So I have many other examples to give, but I think, you know, I will open the floor to questions, because the rest is we'll talk about mostly about technology. You know, if you are interested, I can give you more information about how it works, how it could work, and how we addressed it. But I think you know, this will most of the content there with you. So again, sorry. And again, sorry for my very slow intro going into this the talk. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, or we can discuss. I invite everyone to join the discussion.
On what stage of development of your technology you are now? Is it MVP? Is it already running or?
It's live. We have built. We came to blockchain understanding through our experience in media, where we realized we want to create a space where we can have joint ownership with the global community, and we couldn't find a place where we can have, let's say, the floating shares changing with the reputation every second. The world is not ready for this kind of endeavors, and almost 3.5 years ago, we realized that blockchain can deliver this, and started this endeavor. And we built from scratch an original peer-to-peer network protocol and original blockchain, which is POC, proof of stake, POS, proof of stake. We call it proof of utility. We have a native environment where we also combine blockchain with distributed storage, where you can store off-chain the information, so the blockchain remains very light. And we also have the understanding of a channel, which joins to distribute the content to its audiences. So we created a space where all the relationships are agnostic to each other. So there is native content advertising that fuels the economy, and any advertiser comes to space with authentic content and becomes owner of the space as well. So anyone can be the advertiser. So it is running, and PUBLIQ is live. I welcome anyone to experiment with the new media ecosystem, which belongs to you, the owner. So 100% of revenue is distributed every 10 minutes, as I said, to everyone in the ecosystem. And the utility token that we created is tradable. So we have people who are already living on, paying their bills by exchanging this into real currency and so on. So it's a long endeavor as we see it. It will take some time, but we already see a major channel being built on PUBLIQ with 63 million followers already. These are Spanish, teams that are coming, bloggers to populate PUBLIQ ecosystem. And there are many others who are considering. There are many implications. It's a protocol level solution. You can build anything, any kind of ecosystem on it. So the other project we are building with several universities, including San Jose State University, University of Basque Countries. There are talks with Cornell and Columbia, and my alma mater, Harvard, for bringing to life academic publishing ecosystem where academicians also can, and it will be a content-centered environment where you can really build everything around academic content. And academicians need funding, they need reviews, so they need employment. So any stakeholder may come to find those talents in this place, and 100% of protection of your IP and content is a service here. So yeah, it is live, and we are happy to suggest that there is a solution, possible solution to the issues that we are all discussing, and we are happy to, deliver this to anyone who wants to take stake and ownership, which is free.
How are you advertising your solution? Are you advertising it to journalists, and how are you doing that?
Well, there are many stakeholders for the ecosystem, and we have channel partners who can build their ecosystems to distribute content, and this is independent, spaces for them. The public is space for independent authors, and this is another group. Startups who can come with their blogs and their information to reach out to their audiences, and so on and so on. So there are many channels that, and many audiences we have to, address. But we have built a huge channel, and it is home now without any advertising, actually, to 2,000 authors and 260 publications that are there to deliver their content to their audiences, and the deliverable is authentic content, uncensored, which is what we need in this turmoil of information, mass information flow. And our Spanish partners, journalists from Spain, just recently created post2020.world channel where they document and make it immutable, the information, facts, and the analytics about the COVID situation around the world, so we can transfer it to the next generation. So this is also live, and anyone who wants to contribute with their analytics or their facts is welcome to join from around the world and contribute. I can't see the. I'm sorry, this is my worst, experience. Myself calling someone who is dealing with technology and stuck with Zoom.
Hey, Gagik, it's all good. Don't worry, it's all good. We're all relaxed.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there are so much. I would really want us to, all these issues are very much resonating with me and what we are doing. And I think there are so many people who are trying to change the world. I left my job at Anderson when I was offered to be a partner. When I realized my country needs me, I went to work for like $50 salary. And the first thing I did was creation of Association of Armenian Jewelers across 22 countries and 10,000 businesses coming together. That they call themselves, runners of 5% of the world trade. And these are examples. And one of my theses at Harvard was the virtual state, actually. So everything I hear give me hope that collectively we really can make a change, and it is not an easy task. We need really to mobilize that leadership, as I understand it, I learned, is a mobilization process rather than a person, where we mobilize people and resources to achieve something a better state for all of us. So the other aspect of it is, I think I lost a very good piece that I read very long time ago, about 20 years, which was suggesting that all our efforts in refurbishing and trying to mingle around clean tech and so on are not going to affect our future of being clean economy or green economy or a place where we want our children to live, unless we really go to everything recyclable. So from cars to, you name it, your house, anything that you touch, if it is not recyclable, then means it is polluting. So there are so many things that we need to address. And it seems like the corporate economy that we inherit is not going to solve the issue unless we shift the vision from wealth to creating the happiness of a one person as a society. I'm not sure we can, and to create this, I think we need total ownership. Total ownership means responsibility. Total ownership means caring. So my example of PUBLIQ, why it is able to fight fake news, is Japan. I love Tokyo, and it is one of the most cleanest, cities in the world. When you walk there, there are no ashtrays. You cannot put a trash in there, and every citizen going out from the school or from corporation, they go out and clean the space because they own it. It's there, and there is one street as part of the street which is called Roppongi. You have been probably to Japan, this space where everything is allowed, night, so, and it's polluted. So I always bring this accountability, there's no ownership, and this is where everyone joins to create wealth, and some with fake news, for profit, and we believe in the collective power of humans to be able to change this planet. So happy to be here. Thank you very much. I'll leave the space to the next presenter.
Thank you, Gagik. Thomas, I think you're up.
Thank you.